Hey everybody, I'm McRuler31 back here for FSI DFS. Going to be breaking down the large, giant 15-game slate for Friday, June 4th. Just going to kind of speed through this today. There's so many options out there that just going to give you the pitchers and the stacks and one construction. We're not going to go through every single game. The video would be way too long. So you've got a lot of stupid pitching or pricing today. I'm just looking at it like I've got Urias and Ian Anderson facing each other. The Dodgers and Atlanta, two really good offenses, and they're 11K and 10-9. I just don't understand that. You have like Ryu, who's for Toronto, going up against a Houston team who hits lefties really well at 10-2. So some of this pricing, I don't understand it. We've got Coors Field on the slate, and both pitchers there are 9K, so that's just crazy. But Scherzer's on the top at 11-4. He gets Philly. I think he's the top option on the slate as usual. Philly put up a lot of runs against Cincinnati a couple games ago, but they're back home, which is it's an okay ballpark. I think Scherzer will be fine there. Philly has struggled a little bit recently hitting, so I think he's kind of matchup proof. Just got to watch the weather. There's a little bit of rain beforehand, but it should be clearing up before game time, and I don't think Harper's going to be back in the lineup, so I think that helps also. So Scherzer would probably be the top option tonight. Across from him in that game is Zach Wheeler. Washington has struggled also at times, so I think he's a really good pitcher, can go out there and get some strikeouts against them, especially the bottom of the lineup. So I don't know if you'd want to pair both pitchers in the same game here. So I think, if I'm going to go two up high priced pitchers, I think I'm going to drop down 300 and go Freddie Peralta against Arizona. Arizona's middle of the pack in strikeouts, but Peralta's having a solid season, and the game's in Milwaukee, not Arizona. So I think I'd like him. And then the other top pitcher up here in this above 9K I would consider would be Blake Snell. I know he's been a little bit erratic. He's had some strong games. He's had some duds. So I think he's a GPP only at 9-2, but he's up against the Mets lineup who's starting to get some guys back, but still not a great hitting offense. I think they're kind of underwhelming from what we thought from spring training when we looked at that lineup, adding like Lindor and some of the other pieces to it, that it was going to be a really good one, but then a lot of injuries and just kind of faded out. Maybe they'll get the guys back. Maybe they'll get things together this summer and completely surprise us, but at this point I think they're definitely targetable for a pitcher. Medium range, I think probably all three of these guys I'm going to mention are with risk, but I think they're the best of the three medium range ones. The first one would be Iovaldi. I know he's up against the Yankees. It's at Yankee Stadium. He's been solid. Yankees have struggled, so I think that definitely he's a good enough pitcher to make value at 8.5. He's up against Michael King, who probably won't be out there that long, and then we'll turn it over to the bullpen. So if the Red Sox can put up some runs against him, looks like the Yankees will be back to kind of full strength. Looks like Stanton's back in the lineup there too. So again, a little bit risky, a little bit of weather again, same situation as in Philly, just where it's going to rain earlier in the day possibly, but then clear up and get warm. Wind blowing out a little bit, 6 miles per hour. So mid-range, he's one of the ones I like. Dallas Keuchel, I like. I know he's had some poor games this season, but he is really reasonably priced today, I think, for where's he at? He gets to the Detroit bump. So he's only 6'8", which is definitely reasonable in the mid-range. I know, we put up like 5 against a Baltimore team recently, probably only get like 3 or 4 strikeouts. So again, I said all these guys have some risk, but he has had some games in the teens and the 20s. So, and Otani would be the final mid-range guy. Sorry, guys. So he comes in at 7.6. He gets Seattle. He's got the tremendous K upside. The control seems like it's been better recently for him. So just have to watch it because, sometimes I know it was like a transit issue too, but he has had like other minor issues. So sometimes when you see him pitching, just make sure that, luckily the game's like 9:30. It's not like a 10 o'clock Angels game. So just make sure you have a plan B if he can't go or gets scratched late. The good news is there's some lower pitchers here that I like. I think the most popular one is going to be Fleming from Tampa Bay. He is up against the Texas Rangers. So there's a lot of strikeouts in that lineup. He's a lefty, so Texas's power usually is from the left-hand side with Lau and Gallo. So he's going to be able to neutralize them. The righties are okay, but they don't really scare me a lot. And I think that he'll be able to, might only go 4 or 5 innings because Tampa does have a really good bullpen, but I think he's going to be very popular. I actually would prefer probably taking one of the pitchers in the Pittsburgh and Marlins game. Mitch Keller, I think he is really good against this Miami offense. He's only 5'6", so that opens up a lot. Versus Colorado, he had 24 points recently. San Francisco, 17 points. San Diego, 24 points. Like he has a couple negative games, but he's one that can go out there, probably get about 6 strikeouts against this Marlins team. There's really not a lot of Marlins bats that really concern me here. And then Poteet on the other side against the Pittsburgh lineup, which we said has been one of the worst. I think he could go out there and put up 20 points, which he has already twice this season. He's got 6Ks, 4Ks, 3Ks, 6Ks. So those guys at like 6.6 and 5.6, I think are definitely, if you want to put them in with Scherzer, will help you get some bats into your lineup. And then the final guy that I like is going to be Aiken for Baltimore against Cleveland, who besides Ramirez has struggled. Aiken has a pretty good K rate. He might only pitch like 3-4 innings, but he's dirt cheap. And if you're looking for somebody to go out there and you're not paying much money for it, only 4.6, and get you some Ks and probably some clean innings, then I think he's probably not gonna get the win or rack up a ton of innings for you. So it's not a great play on FanDuel, definitely, where you only get one pitcher. But on DK, if you really want to go cheap SP2 in a GPP to get some bats in, then he's one. But I'm pretty much probably going to be looking at like Scherzer, Keller, Scherzer, Poteet for my lineups. I think a lot of people will be like Scherzer, Fleming. I like Peralta also, Wheeler, mix them in also. Okay, let's look at the stacks. We have Coors Field on the slate, so obviously Oakland is one of the top ones against the Rockies. The second one I would like is Minnesota against Brad Keller, who's struggled this year. I like the lefties against him, but he's kind of a neutral splits pitcher, so the righties are in play also. Going back to the catcher there, this one has a guy that I've been talking about for a couple of videos here, Revolted Ben at 2.4, 2.6 for Jeffers. I think I'm going to punt catcher in this game again. They've been doing well for me recently. Baltimore makes a good stack against Cleveland, which I think is going to be a starter and a long reliever and probably a bullpen game. they're relatively cheap here, especially like the middle of the order, like Galvis and DJ Stewart, Santander. Only a couple guys above 4K, so they have a 4.15 total. So I think you can mix them in. And then Cincinnati just seems way too cheap too. So we're gonna need some cheap stacks if we're going up on pitchers and playing some A's. Suarez, Winker at only 4-1, Castellanos at only 3-9. I know he's only had single digits the last 4 or 5, but they get a left-handed pitcher in Kim who has been okay, but I think some regressions coming for him. Farmer just seems way too cheap. He's slated to bat at 5th against a lefty at 2-1. Lock him in your lineups right there for shortstop if you don't have another favorite play in that position. Like I said, if you're stacking the A's as your main stack, I think that really works because the A's really don't have a shortstop choice. Andrews, who I know is cheap, but I just think he's having such a poor season. I wouldn't play him. GPP stacks like Colorado, Montas is a decent pitcher, but it is Coors. It's going to be very hot out there. They have a 4.87 total, so you can take some pieces there, especially McMahon, Tapia, Blackman starting to come around a little bit. So mix and match who you like there. Milwaukee, I like as a stack again. They did good yesterday. Yelich finally hit a home run. Matt Peacock is not a great pitcher, so and Wong got hurt, so they have Jackie Bradley Jr. moving up to the top of the lineup, but we've also seen Navarez lead off also, so there's a cheap catcher possibly leading off if you want to pay up a little bit more. At 3.6 isn't bad. Jackie Bradley Jr. 2.6 leading off, Vogelbach 2.6. You probably skip Yelich if Shaw 3.2. There's lots of great options here to sprinkle in if you're paying up for pitcher and playing Oakland. Tampa Bay is a great GPP stack against Kyle Gibson, who isn't a good pitcher in the Texas bullpen. However, they are very highly priced, so you would have to probably pay down on pitcher there. It'd be very hard to play them and be able to get the full stack in there. Same thing with Toronto. I think they're going to be low owned against Zach Greinke, who has been a little bit reverse splits also. So I like the righties here. They are in the Buffalo ballpark, which is a little bit smaller. So I think that this game with an 8.5 total, I think they're looking at the pitchers and thinking, okay, they're going to keep the runs down, but I think they're going to bet the over on that one because I see that game producing a lot more runs than that. And then for some YOLO stacks, if you want to go Detroit against Keuchel, I know I mentioned him as mid-range, but he has had some struggles. They're primarily a right-handed lineup. He's a lefty, so they don't hit for power, but they just like accumulate a lot of runs, like a little annoying, like hits after hit after hit, just keeps on adding up. So they're the first YOLO stack. St. Louis, I could see. Luis Castillo just hasn't seemed right this year. He's a really good pitcher. He was a pitcher that's probably like 10K at some point early this year, last year, but just doesn't have it. So I'd be interested in playing $1 St. Louis stack. And then I think the Dodgers would be the final stack that I would look at against the Braves. Ian Anderson is a good pitcher, but it's going to be very hot that game. The Dodgers are getting healthy. They're getting their guys back. I think they'll be super low owned. So you'll probably have to pay down on pitching a little bit there. You might have to go a mid-range guy, like go Ohtani or Keller, Poteet, throw them in, or you just have to play some punts as your one-offs. Find some really cheap like guys like Farmer I mentioned, or Jackie Bradley if you're not playing. Well, you could probably do that. Just play bets on Bellinger and Jackie Bradley if he's leading off. Turner, Muncy, throw in the 2K catcher or the 2-4 catcher from Minnesota that I said, and Farmer at shortstop, and then we'll see for pitcher. Well, let's actually look at that construction because that's actually quite interesting. Now, get a Dodger stack. We'll start with the GPP. I'm so sorry, guys. So if we were to do that, we'll take the Minnesota catcher. We'll take Jeffers. So that would give us the $200 extra that we need if he's the one in over the other guy. For the Dodgers, we throw in Muncy at first. So we take Muncy at first base. We'll take Turner. We'll go with Bellinger and Betts. So throw those in. We'll go Farmer at short. We'll show Jackie Bradley outfield. And then for pitcher, let's take Peralta. So that gives us 6-6 left for pitcher and a second baseman. So if we punt second base, so I have nobody in mind here. I'm just going to plug in somebody at, let's say 2-5. We'll find somebody around 2-5 and just plug them in there. That leaves 10-7. So that gives you Zach Wheeler. So that's definitely doable. I don't know if you can't get all the way up to Scherzer. But I think, that might be a decent GPP lineup to go for, but let's look at cash here. So cash, we're going to put in Scherzer. And let's go Scherzer, Peralta. We'll go high up there. And then for the A's, I'm going to throw in my catcher there. So I'm going to throw in Jeffers just in case. And then if he's not there and the other guy is in for Minnesota, I will just switch to him. So Olsen, put in Lowry, put in Brown, the lefty righty matchup, and Kana. I don't know if I can get anybody else. Can throw in Jackie Bradley and Farmar here, and then figure out who I want for third base, or soon when lineups come out, maybe some more value will come out there. So I think that makes for a decent line for cash. You get two decent pitchers in there. If you want to drop down Scherzer, Wheeler, that gives you a little bit more money. Maybe you can eventually work in another A's bat that you like there, like Chapman at third base or something like that. So if you go down to like a Keller, Pote, Aiken, Fleming as your SP2, then that just opens up more. Maybe you can get a higher secondary stack in there with the A's, or get some Coors bats and some Colorado bats also. So that pretty much wraps up today's slate. Thank you so much for watching. Give us a like, drop some comments below. Hit me up at MegaRuler31 on Twitter if you have any questions, and I'll see what we can do to help you. And we'll see you tomorrow, and good luck tonight.